afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and a very warm welcome to Mangere Central Park for today's Group C match in the 2017 OFC Champions League between Auckland City FC and LAE City Dwellers. And the game is due to kick off at 4 p.m. The teams for today's game for Auckland City FC in goal, in Zubikale, and number 3, Takuya Iwata, 4, Mario Benin, and number 5, Andrew Belanga, the captain, 6, Ken Harrison, and number 8, Albert Riera, 11, Fabrizio Cabano, 14, Clayton Lewis, 16, Darwin King, 20, Emiliano Tade, and number 23, Marko Djordjevic. With substitutions for Auckland City, Daniel Drake and Jacob Spin, the reserve goalkeepers. Number 2, Hashe Ralinga. 7, Reed Drake. 9, Darren White. 10, Ryan DeVries. 13, Alfie Rogers. 15, Mario Illich. 17, Gal Moreira. 19, Nicolao Lafa. 21, Harry Edge. And number 22, Abdullah El Khalisi. And your coach is Ramon Tribunovic, assisted by Ivan Visilic. The LAE City Dwellers, his starting lineup in goal is Ronald Morrison. Number 3, Valentine Nelson. 4, Garapol Albert. 5, Mosi Muningwa. 6, Troy Gunemba. Number 7, Captain Wayne Gunemba. 8, Alex Cannon. Number 10, Albert Bika. 14, Emmanuel Simon. 16, Jeffrey Tiampa. And number 22, George Gibbon. Your substitutions for LAE City. The reserve goalkeeper is Nafisa Massa. Number 2, Kenneth Pilar. Number 9, George Corey. 11, Adolf Komisi. Number 12, Matthew David. 13, John Kachani. 15, Ken Kepe. Number 17, Wilson Bolo. Number 18, Peter Dabanyaba Jr. 19, Moses Kanaki. And number 21, Kiwa Tepo. The coach of the side is Peter Williamba. And your referee for today's game is Kadir Zakoni of Tahiti. His first assistant, Bertrand Brower from New Caledonia. His assistant number 2, Douglas Letty from the Solomons. And the fourth official is Salasham Fiji.
in Rio de Janeiro for today's FIFA World Cup European Championship qualifier. Good afternoon. Welcome to Centre Park in Mangere for the second game of match day 2 in the OFC Champions League 2017. We're in Group C. It's Auckland City FC taking on LAE City Dwellers. It's the holders and the 6 in a row Oceania champions taking on LAE City Dwellers, the team from Papua New Guinea making just their second appearance in this continental competition. And the stakes could not be higher within the context of the group. Both these teams can take a big step towards the semi-finals if they can get a victory here. And it's going to be a very tight, tough, tense affair, I have no doubt, because the two teams met last season and it finished 2-1 to Auckland City, but it was only a last-minute goal by Mangere that separated the two teams. I would expect that today we're going to see LAE City step up to the mark. If they can turn in a disciplined performance, very similar to the one that Western United turned in on match day 1 against Auckland City, then we are in for a real exciting afternoon of football, I'm sure. I'm Gordon Watson. It's my duty to describe the action for you this afternoon. It's always an honour and a privilege, and I extend a warm welcome to everyone in the Pacific who's picking up this live stream. It's always good to have you alongside us, and of course a warm welcome to everybody around the world who's also watching this. I know that there's quite a few of you. I've seen tweets from places as far afield as Canada, the United Kingdom, and parts of Africa and Asia. It's really testimony to the calibre of competition that the OFC Champions League is able to provide. Something of a curiosity in world football, no doubt, but there is a big prize at the end of this. The winner of the OFC Champions League will qualify for the FIFA Club World Cup to be held in UAE in December of this year, and LAE City Dwellers will have their minds very firmly on that objective and try to halt this charge towards 7 in a row that Auckland City are finding themselves in pursuit of. Let's take a look at the two teams and how they line up. Auckland City, there's a couple of surprises here. Mangere and Ryan De Vries find themselves on the bench. Up front, there have been changes. Emiliano Tade, who scored the late winner in the game with Eastern Suburbs and in the game with Western United, starts. Fabrizio Tavano, who's been played in midfield all season, finds himself up front. It's a position he played in at the FIFA Club World Cup in Morocco in 2014. No major surprises in terms of the lineup. It's the same as it always is. It is a 4-3-3. Cam Howison, the former Burnley and St Mirren midfielder and New Zealand international, finds himself starting as well. That's testimony to the form he's in. Darren White is not included. Daewoo Kim starts in the right back position, and that's a part of the field that he has worked in before. LAE City Dwellers, well, there's a number of players in this lineup that will be familiar to viewers from around the Pacific. Raymond Ganemba, the skipper, is a Papua New Guinea international of some repute. Ronald Warasan, the goalkeeper, is number 2 for his country and preferred number 1 here at LAE City. Valentine Nelson and Troy Ganemba had outstanding games in match day 1, and it's a 4-2-3-1 formation that is being deployed by the coach Peter Ganemba. Alex Kamen, who scored with his first touch of the ball on match day 1, gets a start. And Emmanuel Simon and Troy Ganemba will be charged with patrolling in front of this LAE City Dwellers back 4. So the weather conditions here today, Wednesday 15th of March, have been mostly fine. There's no sign of the rain that hampered a lot of football activity here in Auckland on the weekend, and there is a strong breeze blowing from the scoreboard end directly down the pitch to the cricket pitches at the far end of the venue. There's a number of supporters have made their way into South Auckland to take into today's game, and no doubt they'll be anticipating an exciting fixture. Just a few moments ago, I was downstairs outside the dressing room area, and there was a lot of aggressive noises and wall thumping coming from the LAE City Dwellers dressing room. I think that pretty much sums up exactly how they're going to approach this game. They've had a taste of what it's like to play Auckland City in this competition last season, and they very nearly came away with a victory. They, like Western United, took the lead and then ended up being beaten 2-1. And there's the Auckland City bench. Ramon Jabulic sitting next to Ivan Visilic, and they've had a lot to ponder. I spoke with Ivan Visilic yesterday, and one of the chief concerns that Auckland City had was just around putting away early chances. They felt that the game with Western United was a lot closer than it really should have been, and that's been the typical story throughout this season, both in the Sterling Sports Premiership and in the OFC Champions League. Auckland have had a tendency to create a lot of chances inside that first 20-minute period, but haven't really capitalised on them. And the FIFA anthem means only one thing. The entry of LAE City dwellers in Auckland City to the playing arena at Centre Park in Mangere. Auckland City in their traditional colours of navy blue, and white socks. And LAE City in their very dashing yellow and blue colours with the Papua New Guinea flag on the back of the playing kit.
Lineups for today's game: Auckland City FC in goal, Ina Zubikado, number 3, Takuya Wato, number 4, Mario Billen, the captain, number 5, Angel Belanga, number 6, Cam Howison, 8, Albert Pereira, number 11, Fabrizio Tavana, 14, Clayton Lewis, 16, Dawo Kim, 20,
well, a big football match demands the presence of a big personality as referee, and Kader Zatuni, who was centre left of the referee 4, is in charge of today's game. His assistant referees are Bertrand Bilal of New Caledonia and Douglas Mete of the Solomon Islands. The 4th official is very experienced. He's Mr. Salesh Chand of Fiji.
16, Jafet Tiampo, and number 22, George Gibbonham, and the coach of the side is Peter Gunemba.
Kader Zatuni and I had a conversation about his experience at the FIFA Club World Cup in Japan last year, and he was given the task of being the video referee in a trial before that tournament got underway. And he said that Marco van Basten stood over his shoulder and watched him as he and his colleagues were put through their paces of that new system. And he said in many ways it was even more difficult than being in the middle of the park among the action, because it's a new system, and obviously it comes with a lot of unfamiliar territory, but he knows all about big responsibility. He's experienced in international football and a feature on the domestic circuit in Tahiti. I think we're in good hands. Well, this is the second of a run of 4 very important matches for Auckland City. They cherish the FIFA Club World Cup and the OFC Champions League competitions most of all, but after their final group game with Malumpa Revivers on Saturday, their focus will return to domestic affairs, where they will play in the Sterling Sports Premiership semi-final on Saturday the 25th of March. In the Ramon Trebulic era, Auckland City have only won 2 domestic titles, which is quite a remarkable statistic when you consider how successful the club has been in other competitions, the OFC President's Cup, the Nike Lunar New Year Cup, most recently, and of course that run in Morocco now 2.5 years ago. But it's all about the OFC Champions League and top spot in Group C. And LAE City dwellers are going to provide a stern challenge, no doubt. Their big concern, I believe, will be in the back 4. They, like Western United, tended to play down to the level of the tournament newcomers, Malumpa Revivers, and so therefore there was a lot of scrappiness and hesitancy in the defence, and that led to the concession of some quite easy goals within the context of the game. They'll have to be a lot tighter, more disciplined, and if they can keep their lines nice and tight and use that pace that they've got in midfield. Troy Ganemba's a very good reader of the game, and if he can get close to Albert Riera and Mario Beelan and Cam Howison and win the ball in midfield and get the likes of Raymond Ganemba to use his pace, then LAE City dwellers have got a massive chance. one of the key matchups will be that of Raymond Ganemba and Marko Djordjevic. The centre half. Djordjevic now 33 years of age and has only just started a run of games in the Auckland City FC starting lineup. He had a considerable period not in the squad and has only really just come back into the mix. Now, Ganemba might fancy trying to isolate himself against Djordjevic. And the key quality for the Serbian-born centre-half will be to make sure that he reads the game as well as he did in the first match against Western. Now, this is a very good start. But Tade just doesn't have express pace to keep up with that ball. But it was the right idea by Tavano. Earlier today, Western United triumphed 2-1 over Malampa Revivers. It was a pretty scrappy game, in fairness. Western gave up quite a number of chances to put the game away. They should have won by a far wider margin. But that said, Malampa also created a couple of opportunities themselves that, had they taken them, they may well have ended up with all 3 points. Here's Djordjevic against Albert Beaker. Beaker's got the better of him. Daewoo Kim. Djordjevic. Shafat Tiampo's header is picked off by Mario Beelan. Tavano. Lewis, who's got some big FIFA World Cup qualifiers to occupy his mind very shortly with New Zealand's All Whites. They're taking on Fiji home and away in the next FIFA window. And beyond that, of course, the FIFA Confederations Cup in Russia. Intriguingly, the FIFA Confederations Cup will be paying a visit to both Australia and New Zealand very soon. Gilberto Silva of Arsenal fame and a FIFA Confederations Cup winner twice is coming out to Australasia to help promote the tournament alongside the likes of Tim Cahill and Auckland City FC's assistant coach Ivan Viselic. That should be one to keep an eye on. Here's Howison. Beelan. Oh, that's a good ball by Beelan. Iwata's made a good run, but he can't match the quality of the pass with his very own cross. It was well spotted by Beelan. The run was intelligent. Cross wasn't very good. Just gets him behind George Debenham here and shanks the cross. He had plenty of time. I think he may have even been able to take a touch before attempting the cross, but no such luck. Although indicators for the LAE City Dwellers back four about just how careful they need to be about getting too compact. That is, the fullbacks tucking in and allowing plenty of space down the flanks for the Auckland City fullbacks to bomb onto. Here's Gorapol Albert. Warasan, very measured kick. Riera. Ganemba. It's won by Tavano. Now Howison. Lewis. Daewoo Kim. Lewis taking up a position on the right-hand side of the pitch. Now Kim begins the recycling of the ball, as Auckland enjoy doing. There's that run by Iwata again, just in behind the LAE City defence. Tavano. Beelan. Howson. It was a good tackle by Ganemba. And a corner for Auckland City. What Western United did very well against Auckland City in the game on Saturday was to maintain discipline without the ball. But one of the key questions that always hangs over any team that tries to play against that system will always be just how much hard work goes into it, how much of that is going to drain the reserves of energy when it comes to the final 15 minutes. LAE's first game wasn't really that type of fixture. It was very difficult for both teams to settle into a pattern of play that was easily recognisable. The possession was turned over almost every 3 or 4 passes, and so therefore you had both teams launching end-to-end attacks. Now that's a short ball by Ganemba. Tavano taking on the defence. It's a good cutback for Tade. Still going, tried to offload it to Clayton Lewis on the right, and in the end couldn't find his teammate. Now Beelan. Iwata. Oh, that's another good run, and Iwata just getting in behind and unable to get a hold of the ball. But as you can see, inside the first 6 minutes already, that Auckland City are getting a lot of leverage out of that move with the fullback in your picture. They're making those overlapping runs. Always difficult for a fullback, because the key question there is, do you go out to meet and mark Iwata and open that channel up even further, or do you get closer to the centre half and try and close that passing lane? And if Beelan plays the ball wide, then Iwata's going to get a free run at the player opponent anyway. So LAE City have survived 3 of those moves already. Howison. This is Marko Dordovic. And now Zubi Karai. Balanga. Now Tade getting down this left-hand side against Gorapol Albert. Rigera. Iwata. Beelan. Dordovic. Angel Balanga's had a couple of injury problems in the past 6 weeks. He took a horrific knock to the face in Hong Kong that fractured the nasal socket. And that meant that he required surgery at the Nike Lunar New Year Cup. And shortly after he came back, he had an injury at training, which he appears to have overcome. He's such a vital part of the Auckland City defensive setup. He's been around for a number of years, the Auckland skipper. Here's Beelan. Tade just dropping into the hole, trying to open up an opportunity for Clayton Lewis in behind Jaffet Tiampo, but there was too much on the pass. Tiampo got his dimensions spot on there. The left back recognised the danger and shuffled back in alongside Mose Malubwa. If you recall last season, Fred de Jong and I described the game on QBE Stadium number 2 last season between these two clubs, and at that time we both agreed that although LAE City came across as a very raw and untested team at this level, that there was plenty of potential in there that boded well for the OC Nations Cup. And if you look around this team, with the likes of Warasan and Nelson, Troy and Raymond Ganemba and Emmanuel Simon, they've certainly progressed at international level. LAE have got a real attacking threat right across that front 4. And the addition of George Debenham is an interesting one. Debenham understands the way that Auckland City FC play. He's had experience in their youth team, and he brings just something a little bit different to the mix for LAE. So getting a goal today is well within the capacity of LAE. As we see this long ball forward, Clayton Lewis is out and Ronald Warrison is out. And he's down in a heap. Clayton Lewis. It was a hefty challenge by Ronald Warrison. I think he's caught Clayton Lewis in the hip here. You can see the ball was there to be won by Warrison. He's connected with both player and ball. It looks a sore one indeed. All Whites coach Anthony Hudson will be hoping this isn't too serious and that Lewis is able to get back on his feet and continue. You can see the ball coming over the top. Lewis has a quick look up and he sees Warrison. Warrison's a type of goalkeeper who doesn't mind coming out of his penalty area. He's got a reputation for it. There was a game last year at QBE Stadium in the OC Champions League. You may well remember when Warrison came out almost to halfway to deal with a one-on-one situation, and he managed to force the attacker all the way into the corner flag and was in red-hot pursuit of him. Unconventional, doesn't begin to describe it. Here's Obert Beaker. Debenham, wide on the right. Beaker keeps his run going. That's a very good run. Works the ball out of his feet intelligently. The cross. The cross didn't match the quality, but Beaker really showing us what he can do in tight areas. The general consensus among coaches here in Group C has been that on match day one that the length of the grass was an issue. The pitch looks pretty good. I walked across it on match day one and it appeared to be very flat, but it is actually sand-based, and so while it's got a lovely, flat, pristine look, no doubt, on your television screens or your device screen, the ball can bobble quite a bit and certainly makes players think twice before receiving the ball in tight areas. Zubikarai headed away by Debenham. Riera. Dordovic. Howison. Zubikarai. Belanga. Here's that run from Iwata. He's got away from Gorapol Albert. Here's Tavano. Warrison thought about coming and then checked his run. Tavano's cross, it's a good one, but there was no takers at the far post. Cam Howison. And the offside flag's gone up on the far side. Iwata's header away. Tade. Iwata, Beelan. Oh, Troy Ganemba right on the top of Albert Riera. Now Tavano. We're inside the first quarter of an hour, and I think that Peter Ganemba Sr., the LAE City Dwellers coach, is going to be very happy with the way that his team started. Auckland City created a lot of chances against Western United inside that opening spell, but didn't take them. And LAE have come up with a defensive shape that has certainly looked solid in the opening moments. Lewis. Howson trying to get out of trouble. The ball's found. Tade, flag stays down. Oh, and he's missed the target completely. Goodness me. Of all the players who you would pick in that position to take advantage of a scoring chance, it would be Emiliano Tade. He's missed the target. Tavano. Daewoo Kim. Howson. There's still a LAE City player down on the ground. I think it's Raymond Ganemba. Angel Belanga's checking on his health. Well, let's hope this isn't serious. Ganemba is a real game breaker, whether he's playing for club or country. He scored the goal against Auckland City last year. It was a wonderful free kick in the dying moments. You can see Ganemba picks up the ball, and I think he's taken a knock to the knee. Well, at least he's back on his feet. That's the main thing from a LAE perspective. Gets a pat on the back from Dordovic. So it looks for the moment that LAE City Dwellers are going to be reduced to 10 players just temporarily while some assessment is made of the Ganemba injury. They have opted for a very high line, high defensive line. Manuel Simon, it's picked off by Riera, but Albert Beaker can run at the Auckland City defence, and Ganemba's crept into an offside position. This is the type of game that will suit Albert Beaker. He was one of the few players in the game against Malumpa Revivers who was able to find those gaps in between the lines. And he's technically very good. He's also very quick. Here's Tade in the meantime. Paul Albert hooks the ball clear. Mario Beelan. Albert Riera. Howson for Riera, now Dordovic. Beelan, Tavano. Oh, and this is a chance for Tade to make up for his earlier miss, and no power on the shot. Ronald Warasan gratefully clutches the balls to his chest. He must have had a huge level of anxiety when he saw Tade appear. But he kept his head and made sure that the goalkeeping was 100% perfect. Marko Dorovic. Clayton Lewis with a quick ball round the corner for Cam Howson. Howson had to wait around 5 weeks before making his Sterling Sports Premiership debut for Auckland after transferring from Team Wellington in January. He made his club debut in the Nike Lunar New Year Cup. Tade. But over the last couple of weeks, since becoming eligible, Cam Howson's really been a big standout. He's got a good range of passing on him. He's very experienced. And he's got a decent shot from a long way out. And he's not afraid to let fly from reasonable distances with great accuracy and tremendous power. Belanga. Zubi Karai. There's a long-range shot from Emmanuel Simon, blocked by Dorovic. Nice touch by Beelan for Tade. Oh, and now Dorovic in trouble. Raymond Ganemba against Belanga. Riera dropping in behind. Ganemba still going. Oh, and the flag stays down. Debenham! Oh, and just wide of the target. Auckland City got opened up there on the far post. It was a lovely piece of play by Raymond Ganemba that created the chance. You can see here Belanga and Dorovic had both recovered, but he slipped this lovely ball through to Debenham, who just got a shot away, and it even looked as though it touched Zubi Karai on the way past. And that's what Raymond Ganemba can do to any defence. Just when you think you've managed to pick him up, he can produce a wonderful defence-splitting pass the way he did there. Tade, Tavano, Howison, David Kim. Now Clayton Lewis in a more central position. Kim making a run forward. There's a switch on the other side. It's found Iwata, Tade, Beelan. It's all getting rather scrappy in there. Emmanuel Simon. Lovely drag back, and that's a beautiful ball for Troy Ganemba. And this is where Raymond Ganemba thrives, just trying to apply pressure with his pace between two centre halves facing their own goal. And it's delivered some type of pay dirt that LAE City may feel that they can profit from. Albert Stroh. Iwata read Raymond Ganemba's mind there, picked the ball off, and that's a nice turn by Albert Becker. Still going, Beaker. Went through the back of Beelan, who keeps his footing. Now Riera can create something through Daewoo Kim. Another fascinating tactical joust. It's enjoyable to watch. I hope you're enjoying it at home or wherever you are. Paul Albert, a lovely piece of skill. Emmanuel Simon is turned into trouble here. Riera. Tade. Riera again, that's a good pass from Riera, and there's the shot, and well taken by Warasan. He had to make sure that he got both gloves on that with Clayton Lewis lurking at the far post. Now that's given away cheaply by Emmanuel Simon. He doesn't often do that. Howison finds the overlapping fullback Kim. Howison again. Lewis. Tavano, that's well played by Tavano to bring Daewoo Kim in. Well, it's a cost sacrifice of having a defensive pattern that just sits off the team in possession. It does allow Daewoo Kim and Takuya Wada to get forward, and particularly troubling for defences when the likes of Lewis and Tade drop into deep positions, and defenders, fullbacks particularly, don't know whether to sit in or to track the runner. And of course, when a fullback goes bombing past you, you always start to panic. That's a good ball by Tavano. Flag stays down. Tade cuts back on the right foot, just wide of the target. Howison was screaming for it on the 6-yard box, and Clayton Lewis arrived just a fraction too late. You can see here Tade just checking back onto the right. He's gone for it himself, and look at that. Cam Howison saying, hey, I've just arrived here. 3 chances for Tade in the first 25 minutes. That was casual from Dordovic. Riera provides cover. Howison. Daewoo Kim. Tavano. Lewis. Beaker. Troy Gademba tried to dig one out for Beaker to run onto behind Daewoo Kim, but Albert Riera read that very well. Howison, well, he's hit that quite hard. Now Zubi Horizon, a spot of bother. Debenham joins in. Now Emmanuel Simon trying to get past, and Auckland City had to be very careful with their defending there. Now Kim's in a bit of trouble. He had Alex Kamen breathing down his neck there. Tade here on the left. Awata steaming up on the inside between the centre half and the fullback. George Debenham put in a big shift there to give a covering defence some protection. And he gets a acknowledgement from Paul Albert, and quite rightly, that was a big run by George Debenham. Very unselfish. Well, set plays have been a feature of Auckland City's form in recent weeks. Clayton Lewis has profited a lot from these, coming in very late from a short taken corner. Here's Tavano, and here is Lewis. Outside of the left, and that's a good save. Wonderful save by Ronald Warasan, a very well conceived corner kick, and it's a corner on the other side. You can see here, Lewis just arriving late and improvises with the outside of the left foot, and Warasan had a lot of work to do, and he does it with great aplomb. Kater Zatuni just getting on top of a bit of shirt pulling in the box. Clayton Lewis is having a running battle with Obert Beaker. Well, Zatuni's going to go to his pocket if that keeps up from both players. Corner wound in, and that's a great piece of goalkeeping by Warasan. That will give his defence a lot of confidence. There's nothing better for back four than to see your goalkeeper come out confidently and claim the ball with strength and conviction. So half an hour gone here at Centre Park. It's Auckland City FC 0, LAE City Dwellers 0. Game 4 on match day 2 of Group C in the OFC Champions League. There have been a couple of games played in Group D in Pire, Tahiti. Marist Fire defeated Rewa Fiji by 4-2. That's the Solomon Islands team winning 4-2. And Ericor Golden Star in their first ever OFC Champions League campaign were beaten by AS Tefana by 4-2. The next round of matches will pit Ericor Golden Star against Marist Fire and Tefana against Rewa, so you get a bit of a sense in which direction that group is heading. The two teams, AS Tefana and Marist Fire, one on match day 1, are scheduled to meet in the final game of that pool. And the draw for the semi-finals takes place, we're informed, on Monday. Home and away semi-finals to be played April 8th and 15th. And there is a possibility, of course, that it's an open draw. I'm not entirely up to speed on exactly how that will unfold. So you could well see Auckland City playing Team Wellington, but we'll confirm that later. There's a one-handed shot. Warasan did just enough to take the sting out of it. It was swerving all over the place. Iwata isn't naturally right-footed. He managed to get enough on that shot to cause Warasan a few problems. It's the last thing that goalkeepers like to see when a shot is lasered in towards them and it's moving all over the place. You can get your footwork completely wrong, and from there it just gets worse. But Ronald Warasan did a fine job. Here's Clayton Lewis. He's popped up on the left-hand side, but he's overhit his cross by quite some distance. Cam Howison trying to win the ball back for his team. Dordovic. Zubikarai. Iwata picks that pass off. Raymond Ganemba was lurking just behind his left shoulder, looking to profit from any mistake. Dordovich. Howison under pressure from Cayman, and Troy Ganemba picks up the ball again between the lines. Now slips Tade through. Switch of play from Dordovich. Wata's got some space to move into. Gorapol Albert has stuck very close to George Debenham to try and block that channel through to the penalty area. Nice footwork from Howison. Oh, that's a lovely ball from Howison. Clayton Lewis. Well, he hurried the shot. He had found himself in a good, decent piece of real estate, and Howison picked him out with a lovely pass. Look at how well measured that was. First touch was decent. Second, not so much. Raymond Ganemba, Emmanuel Simon. Raymond Ganemba just rushed himself there. He hurried that. That's a good ball from Mario Beelan. It's caught Gorapol Albert out. Now Clayton Lewis picks out Tavano. Corner ball. Well, as the game's going on, Gorapol Albert's getting more and more sucked out of position. He doesn't know whether to get close to the likes of Iwata or to try and get further forward to deal with the player that's dropping into that pocket. And what's happening is that Beelan's able to just play through balls at will. Now Tade with an opportunity. Oh, and it's right through to Daewoo Kim at the far post. He couldn't get a shot away. Now Beelan hooks it in. Oh, that's well played by Emmanuel Simon. Had to carefully pick the ball out of Emiliano Tade's range. Tade does well to win the ball back for Auckland City. Iwata for Howison. That's a very good pass by Cam Howison. Daewoo Kim's miscontrolled it. Fabrizio Tavano. Beelan picks up in midfield. Plenty of space around to operate in. Tade and Wata to his right. Howison arriving. Now Belanga. Beelan. Patience is the name of the game for Auckland City. Howison. All 11 players behind the ball for LAE City as they try and keep this defensive shield going through to half-time. They've played pretty well so far. They've kept their tactical discipline. Now Wata. Flag stays down. Still going at Wata against Gorapol Albert. And he just hung on slightly too long for the liking of Tavano, Lewis and Tade. Shows his frustration there. Just under 5 minutes to go to the halftime break, and Auckland City 0, LAE City Dwellers 0. So LAE City have a free kick. Debenham to take. Oh, there was a shove in the penalty area, it looked like. Obit Beaker taking one from Mangere Balanga. Play continues. And another free kick, this time in favour of Auckland City. Raymond Ganemba just guilty of giving Tade a bit of a clip in the back of the leg. There's no hard feelings. Ganemba makes his apologies to the Argentine-born striker. If you cast your mind back to last season, Amakel were in pole position in the group. They had beaten LAE City Dwellers 3-0 and they were awarded a 3-0 win over the Solomon Warriors. So they had 6 points, and Auckland City beat the Solomons 4-0 and went into the game with LAE City Dwellers needing all 3 points. It very nearly ended up as a draw that day. LAE City really got in Auckland City faces and made life tough for them. In fact, Auckland City would have gone into that final group game needing to beat Amakel. Amakel would have only required a draw to qualify for the semi-finals, and that would have been it. Game over for the team known as the Navy Blues, but they got through courtesy of Jean Moreira's last-minute winner. And they're certainly getting an equally searching test here from LAE City today. 2.5 minutes to go to the halftime break. Auckland City have a free kick. They've got 4 at the back post. David Kim, Marko Dordovich, both aerial threats. So is Mario Beelan. It's taken short, and that's a well-worked free kick. Lewis! And he scores! Clayton Lewis. Auckland City, from a set piece, have opened the scoring. 44 minutes.
44 minutes into the game, the goal scorer for Auckland City, number 14, Clayton Lewis.
It was a very well-worked free kick, and it got the treatment that it deserved right at the death. Warasan read it, but just not quickly enough. And Clayton Lewis, who's been on something of a goal-scoring spree of late, adds to his tally. The New Zealand international can take great credit for the way he finished that, particularly after Ronald Warasan had come out earlier and cleaned him out. He must have thought twice about it, but kept his head. That's a tragic blow for LAE City. They had done so well to keep the scores level, and they looked very strong in open play, but it was a set piece that has proven their undoing. But they'll take encouragement from the fact that Auckland City have scored 1 or 2 goals. Here's Goraport Albert trying to hold off Iwata. They've only managed to score 1 or 2 goals, I was going to say, in various fixtures, and allowed other teams back into it. And that's what LAE have got to keep reminding themselves, that even at 1-0 down, they're still very much in the game. Even if they haven't seen too much of the ball or created a lot of chances, they can cause problems from a counter-attacking situation. But I think at some point they're going to have to get a hold of the ball. They haven't seen a lot of it to exploit the attacking weapons that they've got in their setup.
1 minute.
So just 1 minute additional time
1 minute
to be played. And the first half of this one, Auckland City ahead 1-0. It's a long raking pass by Zubi Karai. Nice touch from Lewis. Howison, David Kim. Howison still going. There's 3 in the penalty area for Auckland, and a chance. Good save. Ronald Warasan off of Fabrizio Tavano at point-blank range. He can't have known too much about it. He had to get his positioning just absolutely spot on, and he managed to do that, the goalkeeper. He's certainly been kept busy in this first half. This may well be the last action of the first half. Off the line, it was Tavano's header. Danger not over for LAE. Well, it is now, and it's half-time. Kater Zatuni brings the first 45 minutes to a close. Been fascinating viewing from a variety of different perspectives, but the main perspective from Ramon Trebulich's point of view that will count is the fact that his team lead by a goal to nil. For Peter Gademba, there's an element of frustration. His team defended very well in the first 45 minutes. They didn't create too many chances, and they have found themselves undone by a very good set piece. Kater Zatuni has had firm control of this game. And it now would be an opportune time to look back at the highlights of the first half. So Auckland City have dominated possession of the ball, but they've also managed to get in behind LAE on a variety of occasions with varying degrees of success. Fabrizio Tavano has excelled down this left-hand side, but it's been Emiliano Tade who's had the best number of chances for Auckland. Unfortunately for him, he's been unable to capitalise. Robert Beaker has been a standout figure for LAE City, but only in fits and starts, and that has been part of the complicated afternoon that he and his team have had so far. But for Auckland, they're continuing to create chances. It's just not getting it on target. As you can see here, Tade had a really good opportunity to score and then repeated it again. Just couldn't get the ball out of his feet. Maybe the pitch played a bit of a role in that, but Ronald Warasan had to keep his eyes on the ball. This chance from George Debenham was very, very close indeed. And Zubi Karai survives. Lovely ball in from Riera. Tade checked who was available at the far post, and Warasan was equal to the challenge. Again, Tade, he had two options on the inside and couldn't get any of them. Clayton Lewis with this very, very interesting effort that demanded the best from Warasan again. And the chances just kept coming. That was a good save because that was a difficult ball for any goalkeeper to see. Lewis got into a good position. Wonderful ball in from Cam Howison, and then this excellent set piece. Look at this. The ball just held up perfectly for Clayton Lewis to get past Ronald Warasan, and it was 1-0. Warasan came out with a high foot, it must be said, but that won't bother Clayton Lewis. The end result is what counts. And then Tavano, look at that. That was another example of great goalkeeping by Ronald Warasan. And that is the score at halftime. LAE City Dwellers 0, Auckland City FC 1. I'm good. Hi everyone, welcome back to Centre Park Mangere for the second half of Auckland City versus LAE City Dwellers in the OFC Champions League Group C. Gordon Watson here, your commentator. We've had an intriguing first 45 minutes that has come up with a goal for the defending OFC Champions League champions, courtesy of Clayton Lewis. But there's been a lot of positive elements to discuss in and around LAE City Dwellers' performance. Once again, it has matched that of Western United in the first game, and is also reminiscent of the match played between these two clubs last season in terms of the structure and discipline that LAE have shown without the ball. The big problem for the Papua New Guinea side, though, has been how they go about getting a goal. They created one chance in the first half that fell to George Debenham, and it just missed the far post by no more than a yard or so. And the question for Peter Ganemba Senior and his team will be just how they go about creating more chances to put pressure on Auckland. First of all, they need to get the ball off them, and that may well require that instead of just sitting in those lines and trying to block passing lanes, they're going to have to try and push the players that have possession of the ball a lot more often and try and win the ball higher up the park. But of course, it should go without saying that that is easier said than done. Pressing the ball comes with the situation of creating space behind you, and if Auckland can play the ball a lot quicker in that context, then they themselves will create more goal-scoring chances. And to be honest, they've had quite a few of them already. On another day, they may well have been 2 or 3 goals up. And the fact that it's taken a set piece to separate the two teams is perhaps testimony to an ongoing issue. That seems to be dogging Auckland at the moment. That's putting away chances that they create. As things stand in Group C, the result, if it stays 1-0, we'll see Auckland go to the top with a 100% record and 6 points going into the final game against the team that's already been knocked out, Malumpa Revivers. They meet on Saturday as Dordovic concedes a free kick to Emmanuel Simon and just gets talking to from Keita Zatuni. LAE City Dwellers play Western United. If both teams go into that match on 3 points, you would have to almost guess, and I'll come back to that point in a moment. It looked like Raymond Ganemba got a part of his foot on that ball. Zubi Karai had to be very alert. So yes, going into that final match day, LAE City and Western would both be on 3 points, and they would require Malumpa to do the most unthinkable and beat Auckland, and it's difficult to see that happening. Oh, this is an interesting ball, but Dordovic gets his body between Raymond Ganemba and the ball. The best that LAE and Western could hope for is a situation where 3 teams end up on 6 points. Oh, Albert Beaker, that's great to see. There's a yellow card for the offence, but Beaker showing wonderful sportsmanship and fair play. Yeah, if you cast your mind back to the OFC Nations Cup, more specifically the OFC Nations Cup final between New Zealand and Papua New Guinea, Papua New Guinea national team went a full 2 hours without seeing much of the ball against New Zealand. And they had an extraordinary level of fitness. Now, there's a foul here by Troy Ganemba, who gets a yellow card for a foul on Angel Balanga. It wasn't so long ago that Papua New Guinea teams were perennial strugglers in the fitness department. They would always turn up with teams that featured a lot of pace up front, but quite often not the same tactical cognizance and conditioning that's required to compete at this level. So often you would see talented teams, but they would end up on the wrong end of hidings, and that has now stopped. In the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen a big uplift in the performance of the national team, and Hikari, of course, winning the OFC Champions League in 2010. Although that does seem a long time ago, the consistency of performances has remained high. There's a mistake by Dorovic. Now Riera trying to get his team out of trouble. Howison. Jaffet Tiampo's ball forward, away by Dorovic. And another foul. The game just starting to get a bit scrappy after the restart. And that's going to suit LAE City more than it's going to suit Auckland City. If LAE can try and disrupt the flow of the game and turn it into a game that's potted by free kicks, then they might catch Auckland out of their stride and come up with that goal chance that they're looking for. Dorovic. Howison, Kim. Well, that's a tight ball to give Lewis. Jaffet Tiampo was right on top of the all-white very quickly, but there's another foul by Ganemba, and it's going to be a red card, a second yellow card in the space of just 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes, and LAE City dwellers are reduced to 10. Troy Ganemba's still carrying on his complaint to the referee. It's not going to do him any good. And a loss of discipline has cost LAE City here. You can see Lewis has got away from Tiampo. He's managed to get away from Aaron Cayman. And Troy Ganemba's gone over the top of the ball. He's caught Clayton Lewis with the studs. And so now a difficult job has become even more so. And LAE are down to 10. They're down by a goal. And a game they were looking to get back into has now become one in which they're looking to just hang on, because there's going to be extra space for Auckland to move the ball around. There's going to be an extra workload for LAE. There's Iwata having a shot. Peter Ganemba Senior and Maori Wazi are in deep conference in the technical area. They're looking to reshuffle things. Manuel Simon is now part of that debate. Without Troy Ganemba, that back four is now increasingly vulnerable, but Manuel Simon's shift has just got a lot more difficult. That's not a bad ball by Warasan. Dealt with by Kim. Now Zubi Karai. Iwata. That's a good run by Beelan. He's just in behind Gorapol Albert. Tavano. Iwata. Look at the space that's opened up here. There's Daewoo Kim, who's managed to press high. He's completely unmarked. Now the press comes from LAE, but that's good footwork by the former Korean futsal international. Nice ball by Lewis. And Tavano stays onside. And Jaffet Tiampo's conceded the corner. He was looking for something a bit more from Douglas Mete, but it's not forthcoming from the assistant referee. There's some defending for LAE to do. They haven't been too sharp in this area, by the way. If you didn't see the first game, they scored an own goal from a corner that was wired into the near post. There's a complete miscue by Raymond Ganemba, and it struck Ronald Warrison and ended up in the back of the net. Here's Riera. Away by Beaker. Iwata. Lewis against Gorapol Albert, who picks up the pace towards the ball and manages to win it. So Belanga, Beelan. Tavano, that's a well-timed run. Just one in the penalty box for Auckland at the moment. It's Emiliano Tade. Now the LAE City Dwellers are looking to press, but where they had a high line in the first half, now they're down to 10 players. They're just content to set that line about midway inside their own half. It's a completely natural reaction by LAE City, but I don't know that it's going to help them too much. And what they're trying to do, which is find an equaliser with a player down. Kim. Belanga. Lewis checking the line that LAE are keeping. They've more or less ended up with a back five for the most part. It's almost a 5-3-1 formation. Malibwa's clearance. Cam Howison finds Mario Beelan. There's Lewis's run, cut out by Debnam. Tavano snapping away at the heels. Now, Lewis gets past Gorapol Albert, and that's a decent cross away by Jaffet Tiampo. Tavano volleys it straight into an opponent. I think that was Valentine Nelson who bore the brunt of it. There's one or two heads dropping and yellow shirts, but they need it. They're still very much in the game. But if Auckland City can add a second goal, I wonder if that will be curtains. Oh, and here's Riera lining up a shot. It was well off target, and it struck Raymond Ganemba. Here's Emmanuel Simon. Ganemba with Debnam to his right. Albert Beaker's made a run down the left-hand side. Lewis defending, picks it off, and Beelan. Raymond Ganemba might have been better served trying to pick out Debnam. He had made his run a lot earlier than Albert Beaker. Jaffet Tiampo. Beaker came in. Simon came in again. And that's a foul. That was a lovely move by LAE. They did look their best when they're playing one-touch football. Simon deep into the box, and Dordovic wins the header. Tiampo, oh, that's a lovely strike. He got the technique brilliantly, Jaffet Tiampo. It was a perfect balance between technique and power. And there wasn't a lot of the goal to aim at, but he managed to keep it on target. A lovely piece of play from the LAE City Dwellers left back, who's now got some defending to think about. Tade with a couple of cutbacks, and he just forced the final pass. Coming up to the hour mark, Auckland City FC 1, LAE City Dwellers 0. Gorapol Albert standing up against Tade. There's a run forward by Iwata. Little back heel for Tade. Now Lewis tees it up for Howison. Good save by Waratah. Very interesting build-up by Auckland City. And the LAE City Dwellers goalkeeper distinguishes himself again with some very good glove work. Nice layback by Lewis. The shot was controlled. The save completely necessary. This is a match that Ronald Waratah will want to look back on. He's made a number of very important saves for his team today. And he must be pushing for a start with Papua New Guinea, you'd have to think. Sure, he's got a reputation for eccentricity, but he's played very well today in a very conventional manner. Lewis fakes to cross, still going. There's a cut back. Well, Dorovic was just in behind Tavano. Tavano got a foot on the ball. Dorovic might have backed himself a little and just put a name on that. Tade. Still half an hour to play. And here's Takuya Wata. Tavano arrived just a fraction too late to take advantage of the cutback. Tiampo. Raymond Ganemba of it Beaker. Ganemba cuts inside of Riera, who does well to get a foot on that ball. He made a tackle quite similar to that one against Waitakere United that got him a yellow card in the domestic competition, the Sterling Sports Premiership. And this time he was a yard slower, which probably helped his cause. Here's Tade and Lewis, number 2 for Auckland City. It's 2 goals for Lewis, the all-white midfielder. And now Auckland City have a cushion of 2 goals. Tade just got in front of his marker, delivered an inch-perfect cross. There was nothing that Ronald Waratah or Japhet Tiampo could do, and it was the simplest of finishes. And Auckland City now starting to look very commanding indeed. And the writing looks to be on the wall for LAE, but they have to put that second goal out of their mind and concentrate on the job at hand. And reduced to 10 players after Troy Ganemba was sent off, and now they're in danger of being absolutely swept away in a flood of goals. It was a good save there by Waratah. Lewis must have been thinking of a hat-trick there. And it's all falling apart for LAE, it would seem. Nelson. Oh, and that's an awkward one. Tavano giving chase. Malibwa also trying to provide some sort of cover. Coach Peter Ganemba has got some thinking to do here. The game's become very fragmented from LAE's perspective, where they had a very set line. They've now seemed to got players scattered all over the place. But they're just struggling to come to terms with the job that they've got to do. It's a difficult one. Let's be charitable. And Peter Ganemba is looking to make an adjustment here. Matthew David is coming on for Alex Kamen.
Substitution for LAE City Dwellers, number 8, Alex Kamen, been replaced by number 12, Matthew David.
Oh, that's given away to Beelan. I think it's fair to say that we could see quite a bit more of that as LAE City's legs get more and more tired and the game gets more and more stretched. There's a well-timed run by Tade. He's got Tavano unmarked to his left. He's gone on his own, and Ronald Warrison saved with his leg. Tavano's frustrated. I think Tade knows that there was a easy goal for the taking there. You can see here, Tavano's got a yard in front of Gorapol Albert. There's not much of a target for Tade to aim at, and the frustration was written all over Tavano's face. Cam Howson keeps the ball moving toward Daewoo Kim. Howson, Tavano. It's cut out by Matthew David. Now Mosi Malubwa. It's a real battle for possession in the middle of the park. LAE have come up short here. Midway through the second half, Auckland City FC 2, LAE City Dwellers 0. Both goals to Clayton Lewis. Auckland City may have to do without Clayton Lewis when the FIFA window opens up and he joins the New Zealand national team on international duty. It's going to have a big impact on a team that is relying on him for goals at the moment. Here's Tavano, Iwata. Space opening up here on the right for Daewoo Kim. Kim to Howison. There's really only one team in this at the moment, and it's the team in navy blue. Albert Beaker can't find Raymond Ganembra, and really the spirit is just sapping out of LAE City Dwellers as this second half progresses. Auckland City have got this game by the throat. They haven't really drowned LAE in a deluge of goals, but that could easily change in the final 24 minutes or so. Now, there's a bit of a problem here. Daewoo Kim was complaining to Douglas Mete, the assistant referee on the grandstand side, about possible off-the-ball foul. He's continued that debate. Keita Zatuni has got on top of it. And Auckland City have a free kick in a pretty handy position. It's very central to Ronald Warasan's goal. And we've already seen a variety of interesting set plays that have usually featured Tade and Lewis.
Substitution for line number 22, George Debenham. He has been replaced by number 18, Peter Damanyaba Jr.
So Peter Damanyaba Jr., as you probably picked up on the Stadium Tannoy, has come on for LAE City Dwellers. So Tade stands over the ball. Tavano stands over the ball. There's, it looks like 3 in the wall for LAE. Tavano has a shot off the wall. It'll go out for a corner. Goals are very important for Auckland City. I think that in order to rediscover some confidence in that penalty area, it would be just as well for them to win this by a healthier margin than just 2. Tavano, Tade, Riera. Possibilities opening up here on the right. There's Auckland City players still in offside positions as that ball gets played forward. Albert Riera. Dordovic. Zibikarai hasn't had a lot to do in this game. Howson. That's a good run by Daewoo Kim. Kim against Jaffet Tiampo. What can he produce here? Lovely move with the outside of the right foot. Checks back in with a bit of a Cruyff turn. And Lewis, that's not his best work. Tavano was looking to make that run just in behind and try and pick up the ball on the apex of the 6-yard box. But Warasan was keen to make sure that he got there first. And it was overhit by Lewis in any case. It was the right idea, but just didn't calibrate the pace of the pass correctly. Now, Auckland City may well look to the bench with this game, I think, safely in their grip. It might be timely to rotate some of the players. Kim, Lewis, Tavano's unmarked. Oh, and it was just out of Tavano's reach. It was desperate defending from LAE City, which is all they've really been able to offer since Troy Ganemba was sent off. They've tried to keep some sort of shape, but they're looking very tired and they're offering almost nothing on the counter-attack. They do cut a very tired look about them. Auckland City starting to play some lovely football. That's a good ball by Lewis. And Rona Warasan again coming to his team's rescue. Sweeper keeper is the term that's proffered these days. That's a good header by Tavano for Lewis, but just a little bit of the urgency in this game has dropped off after the sending off. LAE have just lost their impetus and seem to be content to opt for damage limitation rather than trying to grab a goal to get themselves back into it. Oh, David Kim can smile. He got caught offside, and LAE have a free kick. Well, goals can come out of nothing sometimes, and Raymond Ganemba is still the key man here for LAE if they're to get back into the match. There's a grab of the shirt by Howison. It's been picked up, I think, by the referee, and it's a yellow card. Well, David Kim thinks that he's the player who's been booked, but I think it's for Cam House. And there, look at that, he's grabbed a handful of the shirt, and the laws of the game are pretty clear on that offence. Well, here's a big opportunity for LAE to get back into the game. They've weathered much of a storm in the second half of around about half an hour. And now they've got a free kick in an attacking position. If they were to pull a goal back, suddenly the game becomes very different for Auckland City. And suddenly the question mark would be asked of whether or not Auckland can hang on. Here's Manuel Simon. Well, there you go. That's just been the story of the afternoon for Papua New Guinea's LAE City dwellers. They needed to be more careful and considerate with the ball there. Try and get the ball into the penalty area. Try and make something happen, anything happen. Auckland haven't had a lot of defending to do. They may have even slipped into a bit of a relaxed mindset. And if LAE had managed to pull a goal back there, or at least trouble Auckland, then the final 15 minutes may be a bit more tense. There's the cross to the far post. Tade, he's passed two, cuts it back, Tavano, and it was offside anyway. It wouldn't have counted. I think that Tavano was guilty of coming back from an offside position and then becoming involved with the play. Tade can complain all he likes, but Douglas Mete, the assistant referee on the near side, got that one right. Substitution, it's Mika Lealafa coming on for Clayton Lewis, who can be very satisfied with the contribution that he's made. Yet again, 2 goals for the New Zealand international, and it's 2 goals that his club will value deeply. It looks as though it's going to be enough to see them sit top of Group C at the end of match day 2 in Group C. He may well have had a hat-trick. He's being invited by Salas Chan to get a bit of a move on, and it's Mika Lealafa, a player who's searching for form of his own. He's in his 2nd season at Auckland City, and he hasn't quite lit up the Sterling Sports Premiership or the OFC Champions League with the skill, pace and excitement of last season. Plenty of opportunity for that to all change, of course. Just under a quarter of an hour to go. Beaker's header, away by Kim. Tiampo's miscued, he's got a 2nd chance. Valentine Nelson. Well, there's a feeling that we're going through the motions here, but there's always that opportunity for LAE to get a goal out of the blue, if you pardon the pun, and set up a quite tense and frenetic finish. But they're going to have to get the ball forward a lot more frequently and a lot quicker than they have done, even if they've only got 10 players, because their OFC Champions League semi-final hopes are starting to slip away from them with each passing second. And it looks as though the best opportunity for LAE to discover is from these set plays, but they've got to be very careful about how they deliver them. They've got to be in just the right spot in the penalty box and maybe build off something. Here's Tiampo. Matthew David getting into a spot of bother with Lealafa. The throw goes LAE's way. Need players closer to the ball here to try and cause a few problems for Auckland. Beaker. Kim. Well, LAE City dwellers, like a thirsty man in a desert looking for water. They just can't seem to get a hold of the ball. They haven't capitulated by any stretch of the imagination, but they haven't been effective enough with the ball. They haven't been able to get a hold of it for such a long period of this game. Auckland City has always have been the epitome of selfish when it comes to possession of the ball, and they've just more or less strangled the life out of LAE City, who, without Troy Ganemba, who was sent off inside the first 10 minutes of the second half starting. So it's been a very tough shift indeed for the team from LAE. Emmanuel Simon looking for a teammate. Picks out Matthew David. Now Valentine Nelson. Jaffet Tiampo. Mosi Malibwa. And that's how it ends, because of Auckland City press that space against inferior numbers. Despair on the face of Raymond Ganemba, and you can understand why. Because his team's had to do so much extra legwork, he hasn't really been able to save himself for those one-on-one opportunities, or to cause Dordovic or Belanga any problems whatsoever. He's been absorbed back into the defensive shape more often than not. Howson, Tavano, Riera, and Wata's making space on the left-hand side. Now Tavano drops into midfield. Howson stayed forward. Tade, Lealafa, now Tavano, all joining the navy blue attacking line. Tavano again. Tade, Tavano. Beelan. Kim looking to get involved. He's now pulled away from Gorapul Albert and Jaffet Tiampo. Lealafa. Kim onside. Lealafa makes a run forward. Howison too. Well, LAE City dwellers are certainly discovering that an hour and a half against Auckland City FC is indeed a long time. That's a great ball by Beelan. Lealafa attacks the near post. Tavano just over the top of the Auckland City striker. And that's a foul by a very frustrated Matthew David. He went shoulder to shoulder with interest. And it was born of frustration. I know we don't have access to statistics for these games this season, but I just wonder if the possession stats would be 75-25 or even more in favour of Auckland. Here's Tavano's free kick, and the jump from Mario Beelan sees the ball graze his forehead and end up at the back post. Lealafa, Tade. Beaker launches the ball forward. Peter Ganemba Sr. is about to make another substitution with around about 8.5 minutes of the 90 yet to play. Auckland City have gone to the bench as well. Reed Drake is stripped and ready to come on. Lealafa. Mario Beelan is withdrawn. Reed Drake coming on, so that's fairly much like for like. Well, there appears to be some sort of delay here. And I'll tell you why, because it's not Mario Beelan. The number 4 was intended for Gorapul Albert.
Number 4, Gorapul Albert, has been replacement number 15, Ken Kepe.
And it's Ken Kepe who comes on. Mario Beelan took a couple of handshakes from teammates expecting that his afternoon was over, but it looks like he will be continuing at least for the next minute or two until it's clear which Auckland City player is going to come off for Reid Drake. I think it is going to be Mario Beelan eventually. It just hasn't gone for Raymond Ganemba today. Such an asset, such an attacking asset. He really has got better as he's got older. I remember him making his international debut as an under-23 for Papua New Guinea against New Zealand. He scored a goal against the under-23s. And he was just a live wire. The other player that night that stood out was Neil Hans, who appears to have had the best of his career. But there has been a change in the laws in Papua New Guinea around dual citizenship that has enabled the catchment of players that are available to Papua New Guinea to broaden in recent times. So the impressive group of 20, 30 players that we saw in and around the OFC Nations Cup has grown. The likes of David Brown and George Sleffendorfus, to name just two. And flag goes up against Lealafa. I think the future's bright for Papua New Guinea football. They've made a lot of progress in just 12 years. I think the milestone, the yardstick for that measurement comes with the departure of Australia to the Asian Football Confederation, and Papua New Guinea in 2007 didn't even enter the FIFA World Cup. And the National League, the NSL as it was known, was still a good 2 or 3 years away from launching. But since all those pieces of the puzzle came together, they've become more and more competitive. And they are a big country, 6.5 million people. As Belanga gets taken out, and this is a big concern for Auckland City. Their skipper in the wars again. He's taken one in the back. There's the ball clipped through. The run came, and the knee went high into the kidneys. Albert Riera gets a bit of a hurry up. Now Ganemba. Cut out by Belanga. Howison. This is where Auckland City don't want to get sloppy because they're well in control of this game. But if they switch off and let LAE sneak a goal, then it's going to be a very, very awkward final couple of minutes. Well, Tade's timed his run very well, and Lealafa's unmarked if Tade can find him. Oh, and he was just a bit too sloppy with the cross. It needed to be hit low and firm along the ground so that Lealafa could more or less just roll the ball in and with his running stride, but Tade's tried to lift it in towards Lealafa in the air, and that's not really Lealafa's game. Just a cursory glance at his build and his height would tell you that. Reed Drake. Free kick conceded. Just under 90 seconds of the 90 minutes to go. Auckland City about to rack up win number 2 in Group C. The best of what LAE City dwellers have to offer seems to have been blown out of them. They've huffed and they've puffed and they've tried to stay within touching distance, but that's about all they've managed to achieve. Here's Howison. Auckland City looking for a third, perhaps. Malibwa with some good cover defence there. That's well played. His legs must be very tired. Mosey Malibwa. Kim for Lealafa. Looking for movement ahead of him. Nothing forthcoming. Iwata. Oh, and Valentine Nelson here has caught Emiliano Tade very late, and it's going to be a yellow card. Tade's not happy, and there it is, the caution. Two minutes additional time minimum to be added on at the end of the second half.
2 minutes additional time minimum.
First half was a fascinating joust, but the second has been more or less a procession for Auckland City. They haven't really managed to address the issues that they've had in front of goal in the second half. Those still seem to be an ongoing issue for them. But LAE will look back on the red card shown to Troy Ganemba and perhaps wonder what might have been if they were able to keep a full complement on the pitch. And if they had just shown a little bit more care with a couple of free kicks in the second half, but really it was all, I suppose, desperate rationalisation of the situation that they had dug themselves into. Reed Drake makes a run forward. Malibwa spots the run, cuts off the danger. Tavano. Just a couple of seconds left to go. Tiampo. Auckland City are trying to process their final substitution. Abdallah Al-Khalisi is going to come on for Fabrizio Tavano. But they might not get time to do it. And indeed, Keita Zatuni has brought the game to a close. Auckland City have been very businessman-like in the way that they've gone about this game. They've won by 2-0, courtesy of a brace to Clayton Lewis. LAE City dwellers have not helped their own cause with the dismissal of Troy Ganemba just after the restart. It made life very tough indeed for the Papua New Guineans. They weren't able to produce the same heroics that they showed in this equivalent fixture last season, but they can be proud of the way they competed in the game and the way they went about trying to implement Coach Peter Ganemba Senior's tactical plan for this very tough game. It's finished Auckland City 2, LAE City Dwellers 0. Auckland top of the pool on 6 points, and Western United on 3, LAE City Dwellers on 3. LAE City still in second place on goal difference, and they now face the prospect of a do-or-die game with Western United. But in all seriousness, Auckland City should be too strong for Malumpa Revivers without wanting to preempt anything. That game played on Saturday at 4 p.m. Western United against LAE City Dwellers at 1 p.m. Same venue. And all that remains for us to do here is bring you the post-match interviews with Peter Ganemba Sr. and Ramon Tribulic. And of course, when we're ready and able to, we'll bring you the highlights of the second half, of which there were very few, I have to say. It was a game that Auckland City had full control of. So let's take a look back at the highlights of this game. That was about as close as LAE City got to a goal in the second half, but Auckland City continued to create plenty of chances of their own. Tavano's volley struck Valentine Nelson, and Auckland, for the most part, were in control. Jaffet Tiampo had that wonderful strike. It was well controlled. And Ronald Warrison continued to be the best player for LAE, but he could do nothing about Clayton Lewis's second goal. That was swept home with no pressure whatsoever on the New Zealand midfielder. Tade could have made it 3-0. He was selfishly took the shot there, and you could see that Fabrizio Tavano was available. And then that cross by Tade just evaded Mikele Alafa. So let's get some insight from Peter Ganemba, the coach of LAE City Dwellers.
Peter, great battle out there against defending champions. How are you feeling about the performance of your team?
Unlucky. What can I say? I'm pleased with the boys, especially our defense. Superb. But you know, when you have less ball possession, you know, it's very difficult for you to win the game. But I think we are playing the defending champion, and they're more superior than us. But I'm happy with the performance of the boys. They defend well, so we have to only consider only 2 goals. We didn't have enough balls in front to, you know, pressure their defense. That is why, you know, they have a lot of ball possession, and you know, it's about 80% of the ball possession, so we can't do much. But I congratulate Auckland for, you know, as they are far ahead of us, so they deserve to win. But we will keep trying.
And you've got one last match against Western United, which could end up being a decider. How are you feeling ahead of that match?
We were, you know, considering, but it is over now. We concentrate on the last game, and then when we win this game, and we'll go home, and we'll try again next year.
Are you going to approach your final game any differently to your first 2?
Oh yes, first 2 was a bit rusty because we were not yet prepared. But I think today we were prepared, but you know, we played against a better team. I think the last game we will try to play much better this time to at least win 2 games. That is good enough for us. I think nothing much different. We will just do the same for the last game.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you.
So Peter Ganema Senior feels that there was a touch of bad luck about the way that his team lost today's game. There may be some substance to that, given the fact they were reduced to 10 men and Clayton Lewis scored so late in the first half. Just did. Twice. Okay. Auckland City FC coach Ramon Tribulic is with OFC TV.
Ramon, another hard-earned win today. What did you think of the performance of your side?
Very good. I think it was a very well-played game. I think we dominated since the start. Similar to the other day, maybe even more today, we created heaps of chances that we, for one reason or another, we don't put away, and then the game is obviously tighter. You go 1-0 up, and then until you score that second goal, you don't have that little extra cushion, mentally. I think the game was very well played. We completely dominated, and we created heaps of chances that had we put some more away, it would have been a more comfortable game than what it's been. So very happy with that performance.
What did you think of the performance of LAE City Dwellers?
Yeah, look, we knew they were going to be very intense. They're very physically athletic and technically very good. They try to capitalise in transition, so we needed to make sure that we kept that ball circulating and not lose it, and especially in the middle third, to try and push him deep. And I think we sort of achieved that most part of the game. It was only a few times where they had those counter attacks. Obviously, they've got that pace and they've got that individual skill that from nothing they can create one chance like the one they had in the first half. Probably that's their best chance in all game. But yeah, apart from that, I think we sort of nullified their strengths and played a very good game against a very good team as well.
And you've got one final game against Malampa Revivers. How are you feeling ahead of that match now that you've got 6 points on the table? Yeah,
look, it's another team that can do the unexpected, for the way they play individually, very skillful, very, very quick, similar to LAE City. So we understand how tough it is to play against these teams. They can do things out of the blue and they can hurt you because they've got that individual skill, So we need to make sure that we are tuned up for that game. It's going to be another difficult battle against a team that's going to run and run and run with a lot of intensity. And yeah, again, we need to make sure we're up for it.
Thank you for your time, Ramon.
No worries, thank you.
Well, Ramon Tribulic cuts a very satisfied figure after that 2-0 win over LAE City Dwellers. That's all from Centre Park in Mangere on match day 2 of the OFC Champions League in Group C. We'll take a couple of days off to absorb all of this and then come back to you on Saturday with the final round of matches. I'm Gordon Watson on behalf of OFC TV. Thanks very much and we'll see you again soon.